Clinton City Council will please come to order. We'll begin tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Gaston.
Here.
Seeley.
Here.
McGraw.
Here.
Allison.
Here.
Odor.
Here.
Connell.
Here.
O'Neill.
Here.
Thank you. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to dispense with the reading of the regular City Council meeting and Committee of the Whole minutes of September 12, 2017, and they be approved as published on September 26, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gasman.
Yeah.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Thank you. We've got 3 proclamations tonight. My first proclamation is affirming a safe and welcoming and diverse community, and it'll be read by Sister Marcella Narlock.
I'm a sister of St. Francis, and this proclamation comes from the Franciscan Peace Center that we have. Whereas equality, inclusion, and safety for all persons is a core value in the policies of the city of Clinton, and whereas we know that communities succeed and achieve their best potential when all persons are welcomed, and whereas verbal and physical acts that threaten or intimidate people with whom one disagrees are not consistent with our core values, are not part of our culture, and do not reflect who we are. And whereas we are committed to the human rights provisions of our policies and the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of Iowa that protect civil liberties and provide equal protection under the law, and whereas we strongly condemn any rhetoric, regardless of viewpoint, that involves threatening or intimidating language and all actions that involve the threat or fact of physical harm to others, and whereas we celebrate our community's diversity and welcome all residents who live here, regardless of their national origin, color, religion, sexual orientation, or gender identity, race, age, disability, or financial and socioeconomic status. Now therefore, I, Mark S. Vulich, Mayor of the City of Clinton, Iowa, do hereby proclaim that we reaffirm our community's shared values of compassion, inclusion, respect, and dignity, and our commitment to building an environment and a community in which everyone is valued and everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And we encourage the citizens of Clinton to likewise affirm these values of inclusion. In witness whereof, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Clinton to be affixed this 26th day of September 2017.
Thank you. My second proclamation tonight is declaring October 2017 Disabled Awareness Month, and that also will be read by Sister Marcella Narlock.
Whereas the City of Clinton, Iowa, has made significant gains in restoring and rehabilitating citizens with disabilities to full, productive, and independent lives, and whereas people with disabilities have made significant contributions to communities, states, and to the nation, as workers and as fully participating members of society, and whereas communities, people with disabilities, and society as a whole benefit when all citizens are engaged in meaningful and productive activities that make maximum use of individual talents. And whereas many studies have shown that persons with disabilities are productive and reliable workers with little or no additional costs involved in accommodating the workplace. Now therefore, I, Mark S. Vulich, Mayor of the City of Clinton, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2017 as Disabled Awareness Month in the City of Clinton, Iowa, and urge that the excellence of workers with disabilities be highlighted during this month. And further, that our pledge to increase opportunities for citizens with disabilities be reaffirmed during this 40th anniversary month of recognition. In witness whereof, I hereby hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Clinton to be affixed this 26th day of September, 2017.
Thank you. And my third and final proclamation is the declaring September 2017 as Recovery Month, and it will be read by Clinton Crush.
Hi, I'm Angie Mays with Clinton County Crush Plus. And our proclamation declaring September 17th, 2017 Recovery Month. Whereas mental health and or substance use disorders affect the lives of millions of Americans, and whereas every day resilient Clintonians summon extraordinary courage and strength and commit to healthy living, resilient and productive lives through the recovery, and whereas recovery is a process through which individuals are able to improve their wellness, live increasingly self-directed lives, and strive to fulfill their greatest potential, and whereas behavioral health is essential to overall health and recovery is significant for people who have mental and or substance use disorders because it is directly related to quality and longevity of their life, and whereas prevention works, treatment is effective, and people recover, and we must ensure all those seeking help feel empowered, encouraged, and confident in their ability to take control of their future, and whereas all Clintonians are encouraged to do our part to crush the stigma associated with mental health and substance use disorders in seeking treatment. Now therefore I, Mark S. Fulich, Mayor of the City of Clinton, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of September 2017 as Recovery Month in Clinton, Iowa, and I do hereby urge all citizens to take due note of the observance. In witness, therefore, I hereunto set my hand and cause the seal of the City of Clinton to be affixed this 26th day of September 2017.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes my proclamations for tonight. We have no public hearings, so we'll move to audience comment. I have one person, but Dave, I'm going to save yours till when we have the Tiger Grant discussion on the Committee of the Whole. I think we have another slip coming. Travis Shadle would like to talk to the council tonight. Travis?
Me?
Yep, that's you. If you'd identify yourself, please.
Yes. My name is Travis Shadle. This is my first time doing it. As Mark told me to do it, so I'm doing it. The reason what brought my attention was two things for the city of Clinton, Iowa. The traffic signals, traffic lights. There's some broken. I noticed in the last couple of years that they fixed them, but now that now the lights are off again. And the second thing is for the city, the MTA, which I know it takes a. I'm not trying to be mean about it, but the kids on the city bus, I talked to you about it. There has to be something that for the bus drivers, they need to be scared or something. I know the bus drivers. Today it was a heck of a day. I mean, I'm not trying to be mean about it, but you know, maybe a security guard, a cop on that bus every once in a while in the blue moon. But somebody needs to look into that. I'm just gonna one of these days. I got you know, like I told you. I don't know everybody's name, but I got on with the butcher knife on the bus once already. And who's next? The bus driver? No, I don't want to play those games. It needs something that needs to take place immediately. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Travis.
you. Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to address the council tonight? Hearing none, we'll move down to the consent agenda. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented on the attachment.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move to motions, resolutions, and ordinances. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move that the claims we have be received, approved, and placed on file.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution approving Iowa Contaminated Site Environmental Covenant. I move this resolution be adopted as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call?
Councilmember Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Abstain.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Seeley.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution establishing a public hearing for the vacation of the south 2 feet of the east-west alley adjacent to 1821 Roosevelt Street. I move this resolution be adopted as read. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Gassman.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a resolution canceling the October 3rd, 2017 Committee of the Whole meeting. Move that be adopted as read.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes our motions, resolutions, and ordinances for tonight. We have no unfinished business. Councilmember Allison.
Your Honor, I move to adjourn to 7 PM, October 10th, 2017.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Could we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Thank you. We are adjourned, and we'll immediately move into the Clinton City Council Committee of the Whole for September 26th. Did we want to take a 10-minute recess?
Just being facetious.
We're setting history here. This is one of our shorter council meetings.
Just a little humor before the storm.
What's left?
So I'll call that meeting to order, and whenever our clerk is ready, she can begin with roll call, please.
Councilmember Gassman.
Here.
Seeley,
Here.
McGraw,
Here.
Allison,
Here.
Odor,
Here.
Connell,
Here.
O'Neill.
Here. Thank you. Our first item tonight is Municity Software. Anita Dalton.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I provided a memo to you in the Committee of the Whole packet regarding the Municity software. We've been talking about this for a couple of meetings now. I got a quote, brought some information. We saw a live demo online, not live, online, a couple weeks ago. And I brought back the information regarding the references that Municity had provided. They gave us 4 companies to contact. I contacted them all in writing so that I could copy it here for you to see. And just gave you some history on the revenues for the Building and Neighborhood Services Department. They are the largest department they are the department that would benefit the most from this software purchase. Did everyone have a chance to read the memo, or does anybody have any questions? Then I would just ask that you would consider moving this forward for us to incorporate with our financial management system solution software. Yes, Councilmember Connell?
The third or fourth person that you reached out to
Mm-hmm.
seemed like they were very hesitant. Is just because they haven't been on it very long, or it said something about please call me.
Yeah.
So what
I
was kind
didn't
of
call
off
him.
the
I
record?
forwarded the email to Jeff Chapman because I figured that he would be able to have more direct questions, more example type discussions with the guy. And he gave a good reference. He didn't say anything negative.
Jeff did call him then.
Mhm. And the fourth one, I'm not sure why they never got back. I emailed them and called them and they never responded, so,
Some people never do respond.
yeah.
I'll make the motion to move this forward to the next meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, so we'll open it up for any other questions or discussion. Hearing none, could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gasman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. Our second item tonight is the Standard Code of Conduct Statement for Employees, Board, Commissioners, and Agents of the City of Clinton, Iowa. Ed O'Neill.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm assuming we're doing something different. We're gonna pass a resolution at the committee of the whole. Is that the idea?
The purpose, the only thing we can do at committee of whole would be to move it on to the next council meeting for a formal approval.
Okay, well, it had a resolution here, so I was,
That would be the sample resolution to go forward.
okay, thank you. That's good. I read this over, well, I guess I first read the newspaper and, it didn't seem to, it seemed to contradict a lot of things that we talked about, at the previous meeting. So I was out of town for the weekend. I read the original, memo from the city administrator, then I read the revised, and then I got the revised. I still have a few problems with it, and that's why I'm glad it's not being as a resolution tonight, that I guess I'd like to clear up. One or two. Two would be a deletion, and two, I'd like to see something added. Under the appointment of board members, commissioners, and agents and employees, since that BCA applies to everyone except council members, which I guess the paper reported did, I have a problem with, I guess, pushing the agenda to on bullet point number 1, refrain from any action or avoid any pronouncements which reflect adversity upon the city of Clinton. I strongly feel it's a First Amendment right. It's a violation of their freedom of speech. I don't want any employee or commissioner or anyone else not to be able to come up to that podium and make the statement that they think Ed O'Neill's crazy for trying to save the city $500,000 out the landfill, or for anything else we're doing. I think the employees, whether they're appointees or community members, have a right to come up and question what the government's doing. And so I'd like to see that bullet point removed. And if somebody wants to come up, whether a department head or an employee that's been here for 5 months, wants to come up and make something that's not necessarily derogatory, but adversely about something the council has done or is going to do, I don't want them to feel that that's restrained by this code of conduct. So I'm not gonna be able to go along with this if that remains in there. I think that's far exceeds what HUD's looking for. I think we're stretching a little bit to, there's been instances where employees have come forward and been very adversely reflected what the city has done, and it was to everybody's betterment in the long run. So I'm not real excited about that bullet point. And on page 2, the administration of the programs, I can understand the reasoning on the first paragraph, that they not be allowed to deal with those, but I think 2 years is a little much for a community of this size. I think maybe 1 year would be, that's not a deal killer, but well, certainly it's a long period of time to ask someone to leave and then refrain from doing anything. I mean, they may leave because they got a job offer because of their expertise, and I think maybe a 1 year period would be suffice. On the bottom of page 2 and in the middle of page 3, under failure to report and disclose and under incompatible activities, Both of those, I'd like to see the verbiage added that those all apply to the, what do we call them, the BCAs, except for the city administrator and the city attorney. I don't think anything like disciplinary action, if it includes dismissal, should fall short of the city council. That's a city council activity. It's a city council prerogative as far as the dismissal of the city administrator or the city attorney. So I'd like the verbiage to be added, except for the city administrator or the city attorney, under incompatible activities and failure to report or disclose. I think that's extremely important. Those are the two positions that the city council does control and does hire and fire those people. And up in the top, one of the remedies is to dismiss if they fail to meet this code of conduct. And I think that oversteps the boundaries and circumvents what the city council has been appointed to do as far as hiring and firing the city administrator and the city attorney. So the first thing I mentioned, I think, is for me needs a change. I don't think it's going to be detrimental to HUD, and HUD's going to object to it. I just don't think we need to stretch that far to pull away the right to dissent of what the city government does or any government does, just because you're employed there or you're a commissioner there or you're appointed by that. Most certainly, if someone really acting out of line, the mayor has total control over commissioners and board appointments. That is his prerogative and his power, and that could be handled that way. As far as city employees go, like I said, if they want to come up here and say what I'm doing is absolutely crazy, I encourage them to, and I don't think they should receive any repercussions or have any fear of repercussions. That's not what this Constitution and this country's about. So I'd like to see that removed, and I don't think it would be detrimental to HUD's acceptance of our code of conduct.
I'll make a motion to remove those three things or to change them.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second, and I'm sure the city clerk has got all those down. Okay, so now we'll have discussion on, we'll deal with the amendment that's been proposed. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Connell.
I just get an opinion from the city attorney if he's okay with all that, or if he reviewed what was provided prior to this.
I did review all of it. What I don't know as I sit here is whether, there's some federal standard with respect to the 2 years which they've provided in terms of their recommended time frame. I have some concerns that, the city administrator in particular is a fairly key figure in carrying out our programs, and so were the council to accept him, I think HUD might have a concern about that. As for the city attorney, I provide our firm provides independent legal advice to the city, and we're subject to a whole architecture of rules and regulations anyway, and I don't know that HUD would care. But I might have some concerns about excerpting the city administrator from this. I realize that the council has prerogative to control and hire and discipline the city administrator, and I don't think this would change that. I think all this is saying is that, we take it seriously. If it says if an actual violation occurs or is not disclosed, the employee or BCA may be reprimanded, suspended, or dismissed. I think we would do that anyway. I think the council has that prerogative anyhow, so I think if we left that in there, if we just said except for the city attorney who, we could add some language that says except for the city attorney who is subject to a whole architecture of other regulations, something like that, and left out reference. I think they expect that the city administrator would be included because he's gonna be riding herd on the whole program. Any money that we get, he's probably gonna be looking at it and dealing with it all the time. So that's my only concern. The other stuff I don't think is a problem. I can look at the 2-year issue, and certainly before the next meeting I can tell you if the 2 year is a magic number or something for them. I don't object at all to Councilmember O'Neill's suggestion about getting rid of the first one. I think it's unduly vague anyway, and we've got there's plenty of strictures in here that we can follow. So So just with those two caveats, I would look at the 2-year issue, and I would recommend that we probably just accept the city attorney and don't reference anything about the city administrator. Cause I think you have adequate control over him anyway, and I don't think this would change that.
Any other discussion or questions?
Well, can we move it forward and you look at that, and at the next meeting, we can change it if it's not correct?
Sure, you could, and I could
And then
definitely get back to you ahead of
On
that.
target, cause we have a timeline on this, so.
We can move it forward subject to X changes. You'll finalize it with the appropriate changes, as Councilmember O'Neill stated, what we can do, and it'll be ready to go for approval on the business meeting.
I would think so, yes. I mean, I only have a slight caveat with respect to the 1-year issue. I just needed to verify that that's not anything that HUD specifically wants to see. I think they just wanna see something. That's probably all right, but I'll look at that.
Okay, the
So
current,
I don't see an issue, no.
the current amendment, the way it's proposed, actually excludes the city administrator. You have a concern about the city administrator being
I do.
excluded.
I don't think you should exclude I think that, and really, if we're gonna have a code of conduct policy, the city administrator's the head employee. And so we have to, I think we need to make sure our code of conduct policy covers him of all people, so.
Okay, so, but the current amendment.
Of all people.
Councilmember O'Neill?
Thank you. I don't think I was trying to exempt the city administrator or the city attorney from the code of conduct. What I was trying to exempt them from was the ability for them to be dismissed without due process of going through the city council, because that is the city council's duty to hire and fire the city administrator and the city attorney. So maybe as a compromise, or maybe something that would work, just to add in the case of the city administrator and city attorney, with the approval of the city council would suffice. I don't know, whichever way legally works for you is okay.
With appropriate due process before the city council, or
That'll
something
work.
like that, sure. That would work.
Is that what you're amending your proposal to?
Yes.
Okay.
Or no, it was his proposal, mine.
You
Well,
propose,
maybe.
maybe?
Yeah.
I did the second.
I would just say though that I think if you left it exactly as is, that is exactly how it would work anyway. I don't think this is, it does say that they may be reprimanded, suspended, or dismissed, but it doesn't say, and you shall waive
It also-
all of their rights under Cleveland Board of Education versus Loudermill and all the other applicable case law. It would still apply anyway if you left it as, I understand Councilmember O'Neill's concerns, I understand exactly what he's saying, but I don't think the wording precludes you from giving all the due process you would give anyway to anyone. Anything they were entitled to stays intact. I think all this is saying is, if there is an actual violation, it occurs and is not disclosed, they may be reprimanded, suspended, or dismissed from employment or asked to leave a board. And the word may is that, it's like that on purpose because they wanna give you the latitude to evaluate the situation and provide due process.
Councilmember Connell?
I guess if you read that next sentence, it does reference personnel policy, which I'm thinking that they have already signed, so it's probably already stated. We just need to read the
Yeah.
next sentence, and
Which is
so
y-
I think we're
another
probably okay
reason-
with that.
Another reason why, I think it's fine the way it's worded.
So basically, we're basically just saying removal of that, page 1, that first item that he stated upon refraining from any action to avoid, and any pronouncements which reflect adversely upon the city of Clinton.
Yeah, and the 2 years to 1 year.
Yeah, and he'll verify that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that is that agreeable, you to amend to that, Paul?
Yep, I think so.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions or discussion? And Pat, you'll have that out as an opinion prior to the next council meeting?
That should be easy, yes.
Okay. That means you'll have it the night before. Those easy ones I worry about. Okay, if there's no other further discussion, we'll have a roll call vote on the amendment that we've just discussed.
Councilmember Seeley?
Yes.
McGraw? Yes. Allison?
Yes.
Odor?
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gasman.
Yes.
Thank you. Now, any further discussion on the code of conduct as it has been amended? Is there a motion to
I'll make
move-
the motion.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get that one out.
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Good. Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember Odor.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gasman.
Yes.
Seeley.
Yes.
McGraw.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 3, and it's a request for a letter of approval from the city to proceed with submitting nomination papers to the National Historic Registry for the Leonard Crennel statue in Riverfront Park. John Rowland.
Thank you, Your Honor and Council, for considering our request tonight. I'm John Rowland from the City of Clinton's Historic Preservation Commission. One of the things that we need in any application for putting something on the National Historic Registry is we always need the consent, written consent from the owner. So that's why I'm here tonight, and I'd like to share a few points with you of why we would like to place the World War I Memorial in Riverfront Park on the National Historic Registry. The city received the memorial in 1930. The federal government gave the city of Clinton in 1930, and I know Matt's gonna love this, $3 million. Translated in today's funds, that's probably 30 million or more. So imagine Matt getting a check for 30 million. But with that $3 million, the city built the Clinton baseball stadium. They put in the lighthouses. They put in the Lubers Memorial. They did work in Eagle Point Park. And they put in the World War I Memorial, which is located on Riverfront Drive, plus several other amenities. So a lot of bang for the buck with $3 million in those days. The statue sits in a prominent place. It has 4 figures. It was designed and sculpted by Leonard Crennel, who is a very, very famous sculptor. His works are located in Washington, D.C., Springfield, Illinois at Lincoln's Memorial, several places in Chicago, Rochester at the Mayo Clinic, numerous other places. So we're very fortunate in Clinton to have a statue by a person of that caliber. And these are some of the reasons that, you know, we think need to be considered for placing it on the registry. And I do have, in fact, it has been already reviewed quite some time ago by the state of Iowa, and I have 2 forms here. I have the resource inventory form, which was completed in 1979 on the statue, and I have the Iowa Site inventory form that was probably done about the same time also. So half the work has actually been done to ready the project to put it on the National Registry. The other point that I think relates well to nominating the statue for placement on the National Registry is we have 17 properties in Clinton that are already on the National Registry, and 12 of those properties are located in the immediate downtown area. So I think that makes it a little more interesting to add one more figure to the National Registry. So with that, I think, unless you have some questions about the letter, that pretty well is the summation, I think, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Yes.
I just want, John, do we have or do we need a process like this to put things on the registry, or how are they put on there? Do we normally come through the Historical Society, or is it mandatory to come through them, or should it be?
Well, the process is submitted to the state. Currently, our ordinance probably needs to be updated. There's several sections of the ordinance that are kind of behind the times, and the process calls for Usually, the site inventory is done and the resource inventory forms are done. And usually there's, you have to hire a consultant to do that type of work for each individual property, or whether you would do a historic district in a community or any large groups, you almost have to hire a consultant to do the legwork. Like I'm saying here with this particular issue, I think a lot of the legwork's already been done. So, yeah, it's an incremental process though, Councilman O'Neill, to place a product or a building or a structure or an object onto the National Registry, and there's specific requirements that have to be followed.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I'd make a motion to move this forward,
What are we moving forward?
the letter.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any other discussion or questions? Could we have roll call then, please?
Councilmember McGrath.
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Odor.
Yes.
Connell.
Yes.
O'Neill.
Yes.
Gassman. Seeley.
Yes.
Thank you. Now
Thank
we'll
you.
move to item number 4. I'm glad you didn't sit down.
Thank you, Your
Okay.
Honor.
It is a request for approval of contract with the Midwest Art Conservation Center for inspection and detailed report of the Leonard Cornell statue in Riverfront Park.
Yes, thank you. The Cornell statue, like I mentioned before, is 90 years old, and it does need some attention. And so we reached out to what we were told is one of the better organizations in the Midwest, which is called the Midwest Art Conservation Center. And they do work in about 6 or 7 state area for private companies and for municipalities and for state governments on restoration work. So they have submitted a proposal. I hope everyone has a copy of it there. And the services they are providing in their proposal would be to travel to and from Minneapolis to examine the statue. An on-site examination would be performed here in Clinton, estimated at 3 hours, possibly more. The statue has, and I think this is important to remember, it has 4 figures on it, whereas normally when you view a statue, you're looking at a solitary single figure, and this particular object has 4 sides to it, has 4 distinct statues, each one representing a certain element. They would also provide a full condition report and a firm cost estimate for the treatment. And I believe the estimated cost of would be $2,575 for the on-site visit. We feel from conversations with this firm that if we go ahead with the site visit and they give us an estimate of what it would cost to do it, and I would just throw out a figure, say it would be somewhere in the $10,000 to $15,000 range, perhaps even 20, I don't know. But they feel confident that they can help us apply for grants to defray those costs significantly. And although they won't write the grant, they will critique it and work with us to make sure that the paperwork is completed, in a proper fashion. So that's kind of the course of action that would take place tonight if you would approve our request here. It's only for the site visit at this particular time. And again, like I said, Cornell's work is recognized throughout the United States as being extremely significant and noteworthy, and it's in major metropolitan areas. So it's kind of neat that a small town like Clinton has that caliber of artwork available. So,
John,
yes.
when you mentioned the 2575, it says the active member rate. Are we an active member?
No, we're not, Your Honor. I'm sorry, yes, excuse me, and I'm glad you pointed that out. We have not resolved that question. They did send along a form where I was going to, and I haven't had enough time, check with the local Sawmill Museum, with the Clinton Historical Society, and with the Arts Foundation here in Clinton to see if they would be interested. But at this time, the total project cost would be $2,940, so,
I like the other price better.
Yeah.
yeah.
How much is it to be a member?
Well, that's my question. Next question.
$800 to
Is
be a
it
member.
$370?
Yeah.
I don't, did you was there distribution of the membership form up there for the council?
No.
No, we just have the.
Just the
Okay.
rates.
We just have the rates.
Okay, well, the membership, if we could get, some of those organizations to join, if they had an annual budget of $100,000 or less, their annual dues would be $50.
Oh.
So,
It's
They
well
might-
worth you checking with these
Yeah.
other groups.
yeah.
I think they
yeah,
might
yeah.
qualify, John.
Yeah.
It is, and I have reached out to, the Historical Society, and they're aware of it, and they're considering it, but I have not heard a final answer. Benefits are listed, and before I leave here tonight, I'll get with Lisa or Tamara and get a membership form for the council members. There are a fairly extensive list of benefits that are available, so.
Well, is there a time element to this? Because I'm seeing that the examination should take place between April till October, and we're actually we're entering into October, so we're almost at the tail end of what you call the examination period.
Right, and I talked to Megan Emery the other day, and they do have a significant backlog, so they weren't guaranteeing that they would get here. And we're a little bit further south in Minneapolis, where they're
Slightly.
probably already starting to stockpile up the wood. But you know, we could, I think we could, till first couple of weeks of November down here, if you know, they're a year-round organization, they're just probably not used to traveling this far south, you know,
And we're pretty far south, I know.
for them.
Well, I was looking at some time so that you could.
Yeah.
You could get this membership, so get a price down.
Yes, and there's not a rush on the when they get here. I agree, right. It isn't like, you know, like you said, we're almost into October, so.
Okay, so what's the council's pleasure?
How would this be paid for? Out of what fund?
Most likely out of the general fund. And we do have, $3,000 earmarked if you guys do approve to move forward for this.
So maybe we could save some if they got a membership in it.
Yeah, I think that's well worth looking into, Your Honor.
And it's important to note, as you guys all know, but it's, without saying, this is the 100-year anniversary of World War I. The green statue, as beautiful it is not supposed to be green. It's supposed to be bronze. And so John and I had actually worked to see if we could slide in on the back end of another grant that they were doing, and we were too late. But they actually come out and they refurbish it to its, you know, its original condition just about. So there is some dollars into it, but we feel with the bookend of Riverview Drive right there, it's a great place to start your walk, great place to finish your bike ride, and that's fits into all the historical downtown. So we think this would be a great endeavor to pursue. Plus, we need to find out, the sooner we can get her down here, the sooner we can actually write the grants and see what's out there and have them assist us. Because we won't move forward until we actually get some good grant money for this, especially if it's gonna be in the $10,000 to $15,000 range.
Your Honor, could I make a proposal to move this forward, but, contingent on trying to get somebody a member?
Well, I was thinking the same
Can I
thing.
volunteer?
In other words, the council approves the idea, but would like to wait until we could see if there was, we could get it at the member rate. How is something of that nature?
I would think for $50 a year, there would be an and if there's benefits involved with it, I think maybe it would
Well,
be a
that
benefit,
was
and
just
then-
the estimated, because it was based on budget, so they have to put their budget together.
Oh, okay.
Yes, right.
Could that be looked into before this goes to, before it goes to the final approval?
Certainly, I don't don't see any problem
Well,
with that at all.
I'm thinking you could make a motion that they tentatively approve this to go forward, subject to, an organization becoming an active member. And so as soon as they have an active member, it gets kicked on to the council as a resolution to approve it. How would something like that be? Is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. And Councilmember O'Neill?
So, are we saying for $365, we're not gonna approve it?
We're waiting,
Well-
we're gonna try to get the better rate.
Well, yeah, I understand, but if we don't,
I think we will, because listening
well, I
to it,
think,
I don't think.
I think someone would write a check for $50 just to get the membership,
Well, I
if
think
that's the
there's a
issue,
little
but.
more than that to the membership application than just.
But, the difference between the two prices is $365.
Yeah.
I mean, if we get it, that's great. If we don't,
But there were other benefits too.
Yeah,
that
I
we're not
understand.
seeing at all, so.
And, yeah, there are some, I think some, and I'd like to talk to Matt up at the Sawmill Museum,
Yeah.
because I know he has a lot of, background in this type of thing, but there are a list of benefits here that seem to me would be worth having. 24-hour disaster recovery assistance is one of the benefits that's on here. Tornado or flood or water damage or something.
Don't mention those things.
I mean, news is loaded with it, unfortunately. Access to their library, free consultation, free grant preparation assistance. So I would like to run this by Matt and get further, input from him also. So that's fine with me.
I guess I should be more clear. I'm not saying I'm not gonna be okay with it if you can, but I
Yeah,
think somebody
yeah.
should be a member. It sounds
Yeah.
like there's some benefits.
Yeah, I think it's
Well,
worth,
And I feel the same way. What I was trying is, there's nothing that says we have to do it tonight because of the time element that we have to do it by October 1st. So that's what I was after, that we might as well take advantage of, because the membership that goes on every year, somebody will pay some dues, and we might have some other things we wanna get some benefit out of.
yes, we can do that. I'll contact the three places again to push a little harder to get an answer out of them. Yeah. And so what would be the process then, Your Honor? We would put a resolution on after we get an answer on?
They're tentatively approving a resolution to go forward as soon as you pull the trigger and say, we've got somebody to join.
Okay.
And then we'll just put it on the, that council agenda to approve it.
Okay.
So we don't have to come back here and talk about it
Okay,
anymore.
yeah.
It's ready to go as soon as you just find somebody that wants to sign that application for it.
Okay,
If you can't, come back to us.
Yeah, if you,
Yeah.
if you do strike out, come back to us and we'll still, we'll just change how we're gonna approve it. And
Okay.
We'll still approve it, but we'd really like to save some money.
sure, I understand. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so with that, though, we do need to have a roll call vote so that we have something on record.
Councilmember McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Odor,
Yes.
Connell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley.
Thank you. We'll move to item number 5, a referral from the Traffic Study Commission. Jason Kraft, it's a request concerning on-street parking in the 1400 block of North 4th Street.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Jason Kraft, City Engineer. These next two items are very similar in that we received a petition, which was a request to analyze the existing on-street parking, parallel on-street parking. This one happens to be, well, it doesn't just happen to be, it is at 14th Avenue North, which is approaching the hospital. If you head up the hill west, approaching 4th Street, and the complaint was, if you look to the right, there's cars parked up to the intersection, can't see very well, dangerous pulling out. There's been a couple accidents there, and we agreed with that and analyzed that for proper placement of the no parking from here to corner sign, based on the speed limit, and that was included in your report, and I believe it was 60 or 70 feet. Nevertheless,
60.
it was approved unanimously and brought before you tonight, and I think that it should be approved, and all the residents that were notified along that block had zero concerns with that 60-foot number that we gave at the meeting.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any other questions of Jason?
Yeah, I'd like to ask Jason a question.
Sure.
A few of us got the opportunity to do that walk around.
Yeah.
And look at the traffic and, a lot of things about our city.
Correct.
And some of the things that were, put on a list of maybe to explore and to do, is to not put a speed bump on an intersection like that,
Right.
but the wider one, that's not as high, where it forces people to slow down and it doesn't put them in orbit when they hit it or tear the car apart, but they, what was the name of that person that, discussed that with us?
Yeah, it was actually Stu was here from the Iowa DOT, but it was on
Stu
the
or
walking
Sam?
audit.
Stu?
Stu.
Or not Stu.
Probably Sam.
Sam, sorry, Sam. But we were, specifically, we were talking about in front of Prince of Peace School,
Yeah.
because the fire engines have a lot of issue of flying over that, so he was talking about basically an elongated bump.
Yeah.
They actually said elongated hump versus
Yeah,
bump.
hump.
So you can actually, cars still slow down, but maybe that's something that could help up there. And I know there was another issue too of just the ambulances getting in and out of the hospital too, as
Yeah.
far as on that, the next road up too, to be able to see what that's going on too.
Well, yeah, this location, I should have said, yeah, it's a high traffic area with ambulances and other emergency vehicles and just people bringing their loved ones to the ER, as we all have done, up 14th there, and it's just, at that point, you just hit the gas. But, anyway, if we eliminate 3 cars parked there, then it'll be better for everybody. No one will have any complaints, judging by the meeting that we had here the other night.
Well, I went by it, and that apartment's for sale, and there's a couple of vans and cars right all
That,
joined together at that intersection.
and,
So
but,
they're just gonna be pushed back 60
Right.
feet.
and the owner of those apartments was here, I forget her name, but she was open to the idea. She sees that it is a problem, and she said she would notify the residents, but we'll send them all a letter as well. All right.
Any other-
Speed humps, I'll look into that. Elongated speed humps.
Not a bump. Okay, we did have a motion on that, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, could we have roll call in, please?
Councilmember Cannell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman.
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison,
Yes.
Fodor.
Yes.
Thank you. And item number 6 tonight is a referral from Traffic Study Commission. It's a request concerning on-street parking in the 400 block of South Third Street. Jason?
Yeah, this is the same thing, only it's approaching Third Street from the alley behind Corner Deli and looking left. That's for some reason, that's just, there's a lot of cars that come out of there, and former Councilman Carney actually brought this to my attention, and then another person emailed me, and we looked at it, and we could just remove one parking space there, and it's not gonna cause any problems. And now that we put that traffic signal controller, or sorry, the street light controller there, it kinda made matters worse. So, yeah, this was also unanimously approved to eliminate the one parking space of the 3 or 4 that we just added last year, so it's a similar thing.
Is there a motion to move that
I'll
forward?
make a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other questions? Could we have roll call then, please? Oh, you're-
Councilmember Odor,
Don't go
Yeah.
away, Jason.
Cannell,
Yes.
O'Neill,
Yes.
Gassman,
Yes.
Seeley,
Yes.
McGraw,
Yes.
Allison.
Yes.
Thank you. And item number 7 is a Tiger Grant for Mill Creek Parkway. Jason?
Yeah, I'll just introduce this very quickly, and then I think there's some people here that may like to talk, and I'm sure Dave Rose has some thoughts. So the Tiger Grant is something that we've received in the past for Liberty Square. And so, at first, we thought that may have made us ineligible to receive future Tiger Grants, but that's not so. And David Rose called me the other day and asked that Matt and I look into the likelihood of extending Mill Creek Parkway and finishing that as an opportunity for the Tiger Grant. So I looked into it, read through the notice of funding opportunity, and if you go through that, if the project, it's every project that, if there are several applications that are worthy of funding, the USDOT will look at it and they'll analyze basically several different objective criterias, which is traffic safety, enhancement of transportation of goods and people, efficiencies of transportation networks, increasing economic productivity of land, long-term job creation, future freight movement, and a few other things. So I agreed with Dave Rose, thought that Mill Creek Parkway fit those criteria. So we did a cost estimate, $15 million, based on the notice of funding opportunity. It's 80% federal grant. The city would have a $3 million match, and so I just put the question before the council tonight. Does the council wish to apply for a Tiger grant for Mill Creek Parkway? Now, we could also further analyze that project and the Riverview Drive project and perhaps apply next year, or any other option that the council might, whatever the council's pleasure is really on this. But I do think it's a good project. It would finish the project. It's something that practically Mill Creek Parkway is gonna be completed someday, and this would be the closest opportunity to fully funding it that there will ever be, so probably no hurt applying for it. And I think it does fit all the criteria that is in the notice of funding opportunity, so, yeah, the question is, do we want to apply at all now? Do we want to spend the money to write that application, or do we want to do something altogether different?
Jason, is
Yeah.
that 4-laning of the current Mill Creek included in that?
No, that would be, more money. This is just extending Mill Creek Parkway to North Third Street up by Eagle Point Park, and extending a bike trail all the way from Highway 30 up to Eagle Point Park.
Thank you.
So it wouldn't include the 4 lanes. We could also write a grant to include it as a 4-lane road, and I think we would be pushing the maximum allowable grant application, which is $25 million award. That's another opportunity as well. I don't think that that's gonna be something that right now, traffic doesn't warrant 4 lanes, but someday it might. If traffic were to double, if Highway 30 were ever 4 lanes, it certainly would. And it certainly wouldn't hurt as far as the job creation factor out there at the Lions Tech Park. If we were to make Mill Creek Parkway a 4-lane road, I'm sure that anybody looking to locate there it's kind of one of the criteria they look at. Are we on a 4-lane road, are we not? But if you read through the funding opportunity, it seemed like, to me, just my opinion is that might be pushing the envelope a bit. I think that the project that best fits this particular grant is extending Mill Creek Parkway to North Third Street and adding a bike trail. But, you know, we all work for you, and we can make the application sound really good for almost anything, really, I think.
At what traffic volume constitutes 4 lanes?
And I didn't have time to look at that, but I know I did analyze it a while back, and Mill Creek Parkway it's not really like a total daily traffic volume thing. When you look at, does it warrant 4 lanes, you look at the peak hour. And basically right now it's free flow on Mill Creek Parkway at all times of the day, except for some of the intersections that you're approaching Mill Creek Parkway on. So right now it doesn't warrant 4 lanes or even come close to it at all. I had wrote that opinion to the council some years back, so that was,
I think we talked about it just during roundabout discussion.
yeah. Yeah, the busiest stretch of Mill Creek Parkway is just south of 13th Avenue North. There you have about 750 cars during the peak hour, which is still operating at a level of service B. We wouldn't talk about changes until we're at a level of service C, which is substantially more than that. So it's not a need, but I think that's secondary. It's the grant itself, as I said, what they look at for their criteria is, does it meet these 5 criteria? Safety, enhancement of the ability to transport goods and people, and just efficiencies in transporting freight. Will a road or will a project reduce the cost in transporting freight from point A to point B? So that's what I say. The north leg, hooking that up it would meet those criteria. And in the future, if we have traffic volumes of, if traffic doubles because of other things that happen to the east and to the west of our community, then I think it would be a cinch to complete the project through many different funding avenues. But that said, applying for the grant right now for the 4-lane of everything, just going for the whole thing there wouldn't be the worst idea either. So I understand where Commissioner Rose is coming from there.
Okay, Dave Rose does want to address the council, so maybe it might be a good time to let him speak. Dave?
Thank you, Dave Rose, 4426 Bellevue Road. I just got back from DC and our $1 trillion infrastructure bill. We went there thinking that this would be a total new bill for us, and all of the other existing bills would go bye-bye. But we were told just the opposite. All of the programs that we have will stay, and the infrastructure of $1 trillion will be over the top, which was kind of different than what we thought. So, again, when we got back, we talked about this Federal Register Tiger Grant, and Tiger Grant stands for Transportation Investment Generating Economic Recovery. Tiger is a lot easier to say, of course. We think the transportation bill will be complete next June. So our existing programs are in place. We also think there's going to be tremendous opportunity in June for more infrastructure programs as well. So that's something to think about. In the register, it says that we can go up to $25 million per project and $50 million per state. So, you know, if 2 people apply and that's a total of 50, that's all that would occur. There's probably going to be lots of little grants as well, from what I know. In June, I have to back up a little bit, the Iowa-Illinois partnership, Barb and Carolyn and Clyde and Tom brought you projects on the shelf, and now we're talking about them today. So that's a great thing for Clinton, Iowa, to be thinking about those. I'm going to read just a little bit right out of the federal transportation, because there's some key words in here that I see at the state level that are really important. The Tiger program will give special consideration to projects which emphasize improved access to reliability, safe and affordable transportation for communities in rural areas, such as projects that improve infrastructure, address public health and safety, promote regional connectivity, that's really important, and facilitate economic growth. And we fit all of those areas. And so I kind of went through this whole register. As Jason said, we really do fit the criteria here. In June, I think you guys voted up North River Drive. And when I first looked at this, I thought, well, I can really get excited. We do both. But $25 million doesn't do both. 2 years ago, we looked at transferring Highway 67 out to the Parkway. There was a new program at our DOT where we could give up 2nd Street and put 67 out there, and they would pay us difference. At that time, to do the Parkway, the other 2 lanes, the bike path, and the north leg was about 888, was 24 million. And I did talk to Snyder Associates, and they thought it's right around that figure. Now, we have not given them the approval to do the study, so we really don't know at this point. I did say to them, can you get that study done before October 16th? Because that's when the Tiger Grant has to be turned in. And that's really right up on top of us right now. But can we get it done? Yes. We know we can apply for the Tiger Grant. Do we have a shot at it? Yes. We fit the criteria to a T. The biggest thing is we are probably the only grant in the state that has connectivity for Highway 30. We are the only city on the entire Mississippi our size that has 2 bridges. We have 2 bridges because of Highway 30. Originally in 1975, the original proposal from the DOT was for 4 lanes to Main Avenue. And you gotta ask yourself, what Jason was talking about, the numbers, why did we want a 4-lane road in 1975? Because they want the traffic to run up and use both bridges. That way we don't have to build a third bridge for Highway 30. That's how important Highway 30 is. The connectivity from Chicago to the center of Iowa, this is a huge piece, and it would be a tremendous selling piece for us when we apply for a Tiger grant. Right now, from Ames all the way to Chicago, 84% of that road is 4-lane. After I just got more of Highway 30 to be a priority status, we are now down to 8%. So it will continue to move along, even though the Illinois piece is now a different route, and we only really have 18 miles left from Calmus to Stanwood that is not in the priority study as of now. So that's a huge piece for us to take to the federal government. The connectivity, and thanks to this group, worked to move the tech park from the south end to the north end of the parkway. That has been really valuable because now we have within a mile, mile and a half, you have a park, you have an elementary school, you have the north leg that's housing, you have shopping on the north end. It really has, and the big thing in the tech park is jobs. So that would be a great selling tool for going back to the Tiger grant on it. And then the bike path is a multi-jurisdictional type project. It connects up the north end and the south end and creates a loop around Clinton, which I've estimated about 19 miles. And we could have Father's Day, Mother's Day. I think lots of us used to go down to the Rock Island Arsenal on Father's Day and ride around. We could do that in Clinton as well as bike paths. The 4-lane road in front of the tech park, it is huge for us. Right now, any business wanting to locate in Clinton, Iowa, from wherever, and in our tech park, the first question is, are you on the gold standard? That's a 4-lane road. If you aren't, you're bleeped out before they even come here and look at us. That is crucial. And you say, there's something going on in our state right now. We have the mega tech companies locating here. We have Google, Apple, Microsoft, Facebook, Amazon now is looking at it. And they're saying it's the Walmart syndrome, where Walmart locates and then 50 businesses locate around it. Well, that same thing is happening in the tech business. We're getting all these big tech companies, and there's going to be lots more tech things because we have great quality labor in Iowa, so there's a real movement for the tech parks. The city invested $5 million, and DOT invested $88.3 million in the parkway as we see it now. We have all the right-of-way except for a couple of pieces. That is about $13 million. That was in '97. Today, I kind of estimate that, and Snyder kind of agrees with me, that's probably $20 million. That's a tremendous match. I don't know of any other state or any other city our size that would have that kind of match. We own that whole road. It's not a highway. We own that road. The return on investment on the parkway for us, and I think this is real, it's probably the #1 public project for returning money, property tax, back to us. Right now it's about $60 million worth investment out there. Our what do we call our tax levy rate is 0.42. That's $2.5 million a year we get out there. And that's what we consider new taxes. That's going to go on for about 30 years before it becomes a declining tax base. So we get paid back on our investment of $5 million. We get paid back every other year out there, so it's really a benefit. How do we compare in the state? I don't know of any other project in the state that I know of that fills this like we do. So it's a real plus for us. I'm 110% for North River Drive. I really like that project well. But in this state, right now, just last week at our DOT, we approved 4 projects, quality of life projects. There were 30. We only had 1.2 million. All of these other 26 projects, probably tomorrow, will roll over into a Tiger grant. So our competition for North River Drive would be huge, and we probably wouldn't go anyplace. We are much better off to do the Parkway right now, and I can give this to you so you can see all these projects. There's some good projects on here, especially the ones on the Missouri River are rated very high, but there wasn't enough money here, so that could eat up our chances. So I think we're much better off to go for the Parkway. Our deadline's October 16th. We'd have to do a study with Snyder and Associate. I think that was 15,000 originally. I don't quite remember. And they can get it done. Those studies are good for 5 years. So if we don't get it today, there'll be more opportunities that come along. And I think Washington will be very cooperative with what we have to offer. Any questions or? Thank you.
Well,
What, Julie?
Dave, I have a question. When I asked Jason about the 4-laning of Mill Creek Parkway, he said we don't warrant it at this time. And you're saying that we would include that in? You're
Yes.
saying that we would include that?
Yes. Yeah. It has originally in 1975, has nothing to do with traffic. It had to do with connectivity. That was huge. And to this day, it still has a lot to do with connectivity.
Thank you, Dave.
Yeah.
And one of Jason's recommendations was possibly get more input on this and do it next year. Is it still going to be available in your mind?
That we don't know.
From what they told you?
The little rule is you never pass up a chance to do a grant. And I truly believe this could be 100% funding. I really do. I think it's that strong. And it says in here up to 100%. I will read one quick little paragraph that I think is really pertinent. It says the Tiger program also supports projects that demonstrate significant non-federal contributions from state, local, and private sector funding sources. The department recognizes the benefits of shared responsibility, accountability of infrastructure investment as it facilitates increased rigor in decision-making, provides evidence of support for the project, and leverages federal investment. We got that. We got a big chunk of it. So that would be a criteria. They use the same scoring points as we do. It's most generally 100 points. And when you own the property, you don't start out here, you start here. And the good things, and you keep adding the points at the bottom, and then you go from there. So it's tremendous opportunity for us.
Point of clarification, kind of to what Councilmember Allison said. Jason was stating just the 2-lane extension from Main Avenue to 67. You're saying 4-lane all the way?
If I had to decide between the two, I'd do the 4-lane to Main Avenue. It's more important than the North Leg, but I'm saying go for the whole works. I did see a lot of Tiger grants last year, and they were averaging right around 30 million. But now we have this cap of 25 million. So, yeah, it doesn't take any longer to write the whole grant. Doesn't cost any more money to do the whole grant. And I'm just saying what I saw 2 years ago about the 888, bike path, the north leg, and the other 2 lanes was 888 million.
Member Seeley?
Hey, Your Honor. I'm just looking at the application stuff. This program goes through 2020 is what, as I think when it expires. So, now I'm having a hard time understanding, and you keep talking about connectivity. We have a road that goes from Highway 30 to Main Avenue. We don't have traffic volumes or congestion that is causing issues. I'm having a hard time understanding how, when there are no issues present, how 4 lanes change the dynamics of the corridor there.
Changes dynamics for me for the connectivity of getting a 4-lane road from Chicago to Ames. That's why it was put in there in 1975. There certainly wasn't a problem with traffic in 1975. Mom and Pa only had 1 car. You know, kids didn't have cars. So traffic was not the issue. It's how do we get through Clinton, Iowa? It's kind of like Peoria, you know, where you have the 2 routes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great selling tool for me at the DOT to say how we get through Clinton. You know, and for us to go into Illinois and say the same thing, I kind of use both ways when I do that.
So we bring the bypass up to 4 lanes. It ends at Main
It is the
Avenue.
gold standard, and your tech park only has 1 out-of-town investor in it right now.
Yeah.
And the rest are transplants. And that shouldn't be. We should have a lot more interest in that.
Yeah.
Because, boy, somebody looking at Iowa punches in if you're in. U.S. Chamber of Commerce says 4-lane roads are number 1. Site Selection Magazine says number 1. And our certified parks, number 1 question is, are you on a 4-lane road?
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
key.
As far as other projects we have in town that need addressed, like, and you look at the economic impact, what projects, let's say we apply for this grant and we get it and we get Mill Creek done. Now, the likelihood of getting this grant again or a similar grant in the very near future, of course that could change next year with the administration, but you know, this is thrown at us, and I'm thinking about a lot of variables. I'm thinking about 4-lane. I'm thinking about the extension. Thinking about the bike trail. I'm thinking about North River Drive. I'm thinking about our industrial park, and I'm sure there's other things I'm forgetting about. And for instance, our industrial park, we have a ton of money invested in it, and we really need to do a couple more things to get that puppy in a more marketable state. And industry is going to be one of the key driving factors of development. And so I'm having a hard time understanding why we're not talking about this grant for that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
This grant doesn't apply to our industrial park.
Why not?
Well, I did not see anything in here that read that way.
I guess what I read is connectivity, economic development were 2 of the things, and 2 things that the industrial park needs more connectivity. And
To what?
It needs an access road that, you know, so that land becomes more developable. And as far as what I can understand, I mean, this fits that bullet. And actually, from what I read, the North River Drive fits it too. So I guess, but you may have more information than I have. But see, this is all 3 days worth of trying to figure stuff out, rush at the last minute to get an application together, which I'm fine with, but I'm not fine with it if it's not truly the right project. And I'm sitting here not knowing truly what the right projects are because you can't figure that out in 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
Transportation is considered to be the number 1 thing when businesses relocate, so that's why I'm on transportation, because it's very important for businesses to look at. I'll give you one more thing that I've been working on. A new RISE grant, and it's been very well accepted so far, into our industrial park coming off across from the airport. I'm working on a split rise grant where you could do grading and gravel into, and then you'd have 5 years to finish it out. That way, if a business comes along, you can at least drive in and show them. And I'm working on that, and I have a pretty good chance of getting another new RISE program for that. But as far as a Tiger grant goes, I don't see how that fits, but, you know.
If I might just give you a little history, we have applied, I'm aware of at least three other Tiger grants that we've applied for. We've applied in 2011 for a Tiger grant for the rail park, for the road access through the park, also for the completion of the runaround track.
Okay.
It didn't even get anywhere near in the scoring. It was shot down way early, came back pretty much as a dead project. Not enough economic impact for a region. It was too isolated for, it was just a park, and they used the sentence, it's not, we don't put things in, if you build it, they will come. And that's what they consider a rail park to be. For this type of particular Tiger grant, it doesn't qualify for that. In 2012, we applied for Liberty Square. We did get $3.2 million for Liberty Square. It was part of a $60 million regional project to complete the 4-laning of Highway 30 through Clinton. It was a project that went on for almost 20 years. And the reason why it won that or qualified for it, it was the last dollars in. It had a major economic, it revitalized a major portion of Clinton. And it was the last dollars in. That's the reason why it won, is it finished the project.
Finished it off, yeah.
Finished it. In 2014, we applied for a Tiger grant for 19th Avenue North, trying to use the philosophy that it would finish the 19th Avenue North corridor. Came back, not enough economic impact because it was too small of a road. It really was a road that had a very small segment connecting to an unfinished road. It probably should have been tied to the whole North River, not North River, but the north part of Mill Creek as one major full project. It just, as a little project by itself, it didn't qualify. So just to give you a history on what has gone and what hasn't. So we have done this in the past. We've had, out of 3, we've gotten 1. And in that year, there were only 2 issued in the state of Iowa. So that was actually a good year for us. In the Mississippi Mayor's Group, we actually made the map as far as where the Tiger grants were, because most of them were major cities. They got 10, 20, $30 million. Our little $3 million project at least got on the map. So I just wanted to give you a little history of where, of why the rail park doesn't really qualify for it.
Well, I'll agree that you probably maybe wouldn't rank as high, but to me, I would rather see that happen than, honestly, because I think there's more, we get more bang for our buck out of finishing that project than we would this one, but that's my opinion.
But that's not what the scoring is for how they're gonna give them.
Well, and, it goes to, we don't know what they're gonna do or what they're gonna say. I will say that the industrial park was in a much different state 4 or 5 years ago than it is now, as a certified site as it sits today. I'm just saying that this is being brought to us in a very short period of time. It hasn't been vetted with people. It hasn't been truly discussed. I'm not saying I'm closed off to anything, but I think it's important we consider all the different things going on and what actually, this buck goes the furthest doing this project. And I can't sit here and say I know the answer to that, and that bothers me.
This wasn't out till September 16th.
No, I know.
None of us even knew.
Yeah, no, I know.
It
I'm
was
not blaming anyone for bringing this at the last
Yeah.
minute, other than this is a program that's been around for a long time, from what I understand. But it's difficult to make decisions at the last minute like this, especially decisions that do change the landscape of the community potentially.
I guess the bottom line, if you go forward, it's gonna cost you $15,000 for the study.
Yeah.
Which is good. That's your cost.
Yeah.
And that's good for 5 years.
I get, Councilmember O'Neill, I just want, as far as the time frame, Tiger grants are notorious to having 30 to 45 days window, very short. They actually are only after communities that actually have things that are ready to go. This is the reason why they talk about the on-the-shelf projects, because somebody that's got to try to put something together from square one, you can't do it. So that's the reason why this is not uncommon for it to be a very small window. We did this with these other projects, all had a very, very short window to apply. And with that, Councilmember O'Neill, I know you were wanting to have a comment. Okay.
First thing I'd like to know, we got this for 40 minutes. Do we have anyone else that wants to address the council?
Barb, would you come up and identify yourself?
I'm Barb Sewell Janice from Fulton, and I've been involved on both sides of the river for many, many years. I know it's tough, especially for some of you younger ones, because you see this and you look at all this money, but that pot of money goes away really fast. Right now, with it coming out September 16th, if we don't jump on this and we don't act, how many more cities are going to get their ducks in a row, and then we're not going to have this golden opportunity? And that's exactly what it is, a golden opportunity. When we look at Mill Creek Parkway, we look at 19th Avenue North. How many of you really in your heart could say, we had to have Mill Creek Parkway? We didn't have to have Mill Creek Parkway. We had Comanche Avenue, Lincoln Way area to get out to where we want to go to 30. But isn't it nice to have that choice to have Mill Creek Parkway? And because of Mill Creek Parkway, we also now have our tech center. And that tech center continues to grow and to blossom. And when it was fully operational with all of the buildings utilized by Ashford, the traffic, just congestion by 19th North there was amazing. And it's going to continue to be a busy area and an intersection there. We have a turn lane and we have a straight lane. We're going to need 4 lanes there if we really fully develop that tech park. And we can't always look at what do we have to have right now. Our highway partnership group has always had a vision, and a vision, where can we bring people into this community, business into this community, and economic development into the entire region. We cannot stand alone anymore. This is all about regionalization and making what's best for every city around us. Clinton is where so many people come to shop, to buy groceries, to do all of their other things, just like us in Fulton. And so does Comanche, and so does Albany, and Thompson, and we can go on and on. Because it's the big city amongst a lot of small cities. We have to keep going over here on this side of the river and keep developing. We cannot look at this golden goose and let it just lay the eggs someplace else. We got to pick up on this. And this 25 million will be absorbed so quickly because right now we're jumping on it. Why are we having this opportunity? Because we are so fortunate and lucky to have a DOT commissioner. I don't think any of you really honestly realize, or some of you do, but having a DOT commissioner and one that his heart and soul is into the development of this community, coming to us with all of his little inside information from coming from DC, bringing this to us, being excited about it. We wouldn't even know about any of this if it wasn't for David. And I don't care what anyone says, we wouldn't have the Parkway, and we definitely wouldn't have 19th Avenue North if it wasn't for David Rose. He is the one that had that dream, and he pushed. We got 19th Avenue North shoved up our rears so many times, like, we don't need that thing, we don't need that, that's just ridiculous. Do all of you like driving out there 19th Avenue North now, cutting right on out and around? Pretty nice. And that's what we have to continue to do. We have to be the big city, the big sister, the big brother, because that's what we are to this region. So thank you, and look open-mindedly at this stuff. We can't always look at what absolutely do we have to have. We have to look at what blessings are we getting, because there is money there right now that we need to grab onto. Thank you.
Member Allison?
I have a question, a clarification question in my mind.
Okay.
Prior to this meeting, we had, I thought, approved